Hello and welcome back to Cymatic TV, your energy update here, talking about what the prana energy is doing in accordance to the sun, the earth, and obviously your good selves and myself through our auras and our chakra system. Okay, the sun, our local producer or conveyor of energy, has been very active over the past few days. And there's been quite a few X flares, very prolonged X flare as well, that we have been experiencing over the last couple of days within the magnetic field of the Earth. And it's certainly felt through the energy lines, because that's where we feel the real Schumann resonance. It's not through those graphs that you sometimes see on YouTube videos that have been debunked for a very long time as a very poor way of looking at the Schumann resonance. But you can certainly feel it in the energy lines. And I go dowsing regularly. I'm sat on an energy line at this moment here, and you can definitely feel the uptick, the energy that's sort of going through there has got an energy of sort of it's a dancing energy, an excitable energy. So you may find that as well. It may affect you in a way that if you're not in alignment with your life a little bit, it can seem a little bit frustrating, a little bit overwhelming at times and so forth. And I did a video about, and this is what I've been experiencing. There's a lot of download of information over the past week. And sometimes that download can become a little bit too intense. So don't forget to take time out. If you're getting a download and it's too much information, just jot down a couple of keywords according to that download and then revisit it in a meditation later on when you're feeling a little bit more sort of at ease with yourself. You'll open up all the understanding that comes through with the download. And we did that over on the Astroflower. It's going to be interesting to see as well what the messages from energy are this week here. So if you haven't been paying attention, let's just see what's going on with the sun at the moment. So let's just bring up, well, here we go. We got the X-ray flares here with the X-ray flux up here. And you can see these three flares that have been happening over the last 3 days. And yes, they have been directed in the direction of the Earth. There has been quite a bit of plasma ejection as well, so aurora borealis will be easier to see, I would have thought, and they may even go quite south. It depends on the magnetic field of the Earth. This is a real test for the Earth at the moment. But one thing is it's already started, which we can see here, and this is like the magnetic field of the Earth, and we say like we're going into a solar storm. It's a bit like, when the energy is starting to hit your aura and it's making the outside of your aura vibrate a lot. And that's where we can feel a little bit of a pressure on the energy system of our individual energy system. And that's very similar to when you're in the house and the wind starts picking up and a bit of a sort of storm is happening. You can feel that vibration, or you can feel that energy in the air, as it were. And it's a similar sort of thing that's happening here, as we can see on the KP index. I think this is actually going to drop off a little bit over the day, and I think we'll get later on in the day we'll get another spike coming through, because that'll be that last X flare that was a really quick one, but very, very potent with its X5 flare. So there's a lot of fire energy within the system at the moment as well, which we can well see. But one of the good things about that, about the solar flaring kicking in, is the reduction of coronal holes. And because we get a reduction of coronal holes, we can most certainly see a reduction in earthquakes. Now, solar flares do not create earthquakes at all. Well, that's not true. They can in very exceptional circumstances, and we need to see the phi angle of the energy as it comes through and touching the Earth. If it's coupling, yes, it can force a few earthquakes, but majority of time it's reflecting, as it were. The energies are being reflected as well, away from the out of the Earth, as it were, and it contributes much more of an electromagnetic thing more than anything else. So here you can see there is earthquakes. They've all sort of calmed down a little bit, and I would expect anybody with any salt or worth in regards to energy will understand that earthquakes are created through earth energy because it's the earth movement. Now, the earth energy comes through those corona holes, which we've been having over the past sort of month and a half. And I did say in an energy update on a messages from energy around about 3 months ago, I said the eruptions will calm down and we'll start picking up around this time here. I expect it also to calm down a little bit over the next couple of weeks. There may be a few flarings in this last week here, but I should imagine it's going to calm down a little bit right through to the mid of December. And I think then we're going to get some more flaring happening between the 15th and the 25th of December. So keep an eye out for that one. But in the meantime, I think gradually over the next week or so, the fire energy is going to be tapering off. And it has been consuming that air energy, or at least bringing that air mental energy through a lot the system over the past couple of weeks. And we saw that with a lot of tornadoes and hurricanes, especially over in Vietnam and those sort of places there where it's been hitting quite a lot. So that air energy is gradually being consumed by this fire energy at the moment, and that's helping with those sort of downloads and those understandings within the third eye. But certainly it's good to see a bit of a tapering off of the earthquakes. We may have a few earthquakes that may be coming back in the next sort of like 2 or 3 days, but we'll look at the sun and see why that is happening. Here we go with the Iswa, and you can see here over the last week, and you can see just slightly above, you have round on the 10th. It started, actually the eruption started on the 9th, and that's when we could see the eruptions or the earthquakes really diminishing on the 9th. It started diminishing on the 9th, and that's when it started flaring. So we can see these flares now coming out here. Here's the first one that comes towards the earth. That's been hitting here today on the 11th, and we've seen this already as I showed you earlier on. We've got the second one coming through, and then we get that third one, which was a real spike of energy. It's not quite directed in the direction of the earth, so it is sort of creating a lot of air energy. But I'd like you to pay attention to what's going on in the bottom section here. If you look to the left here, you can see the speedometer of the wind, and as it gradually gets towards the earth, on the 12th, which is today, this is where it's really going to pick up. And as you can well see, it's around about 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening UK time. So I would have thought you were going to get this extra push on the magnetic storms that are happening. But that goes right through the system, comes right through the system. And then after that, because it's taken out pretty much an arm there, as you can well see, that arm there has been completely disconnected. As we can, if we pull it right all the way back to the beginning, we've got that faint arm that it comes along, but it blows it out of existence in regards to the earth. And it's literally gone past before it's really reconnecting. And at this point here, so we're looking from the 13th onwards, and I would have said more on the 14th, is a real drop out of the energy. And it will also bring back this corona hole. So we should be looking at earthquakes around about the 14th or the 15th of November in the next sort of 2 or 3 days that are happening with that connection to the corona hole. And I've got a funny feeling it is going to be down in the root chakra in South America. If you've seen the root chakras or the energies or the chakras of the earth that we have on this channel, we get the root chakra in South America, and I got a funny feeling that's where we're going to get a reasonably large earthquake on the 14th and the 15th, maybe even the 16th of November. But those are the energies that are coming through. We're still waiting for this last one to really come through, which is coming through in this section here. It comes through roughly late on this afternoon, and that's when the speed as well really picks up. Because I was talking about it the other day when when you get one eruption, this is called a cannon eruption, because you get more than one happening, one after the other, hitting in the same direction. The first two clear the space energy, as it were, between the sun and the earth, and that means the third one is going to come zipping through at very, very high speeds, I would have thought, and that's going to cause a bit of a coronal hole, a bit of a geomagnetic storm that's going on. So that's that really sort of fire energy that's coming through at the moment. Okay, let's just have another look and see how where it's actually erupted from. Let's just have a look at this. This is where you can see up here, you can see the different sunspots, and if you can zoom in, you get the blue and red connection here. Now that's a positive and negative, and we've seen all the eruptions coming from this sunspot here, which has a double sunspot in it in a way, because we get red, blue, and when those start mixing together, that's when the magnetic field connects to one another and creates like equivalent of a short circuit in a way. And then within that short circuit, that's when the electricity explodes out of the sun, and that's what's been happening. But we can see down in the bottom section here, there is quite a lot of sunspots, or a lot of potential more than anything else. In this section here, we have one at the moment that's going past the sun, earth facing at the moment. It's still a little bit quiet, but it may pick up. We've got another one that's playing out here where it's got good mixing between those negative and positive polarities of the magnetic field of the sun. Therefore, we've got a potential in the next sort of like 4 or 5 days to have another eruption that comes vaguely in our direction. It's a little bit south, but it could certainly come in our direction. And if that does happen, that's going to change a lot of the energy from a coronal hole, which is actually in this section here that's coming in our way. So here's the sun here. Let me just take that back to the beginning. Here's the sun here, and these are the eruptions here that was happening on the solar flare that's been happening, the 3 that came off there in our direction. This is that section that I was talking about down here that's got a huge amount of potential at the moment, this section here. And we got some more potential that's coming through there. And we can see this sort of like filament energy as well. There's that big eruption, that last big eruption. We can see that filament energy that's going through here and playing into the coronal hole as well, section of the sun. So let's just have a quick look at that and see what's going on there. We can see that coronal hole right at the top there. That's going to be Earth facing in the next couple of days, and that's what could produce those sort of earthquakes, as I was saying earlier on. But the fire energy that's coming through, as I said, is consuming the air energy, so that we've seen a reduction in the hurricanes across the globe at the moment, certainly within the past 3 or 4 days because of those eruptions. But it will be sort of maybe ticking up the electricity from within, and maybe looking at earth volcano eruptions, maybe in about sort of a week, 10 days after when that coronal hole has come through, because the mixture between the two may create a little bit of pressure within the earth, and that we may see some volcanic eruptions. But apart from that, even the volcanic eruptions are pretty relaxed at the moment. There's something going on in Hawaii, in Kilauea, but there's also up by the Alaskan Ridge as well, but they're the only volcanoes really that are kicking in at the moment. And my main attention is going to be on this coronal hole. So I think at the moment, obviously, we've had fire and air energy coming through, but I think we will have a return to earth and water energy by the later stages of next week as it comes through. Okay. So let's just have a look at what's been coming in the way of plasma. Now, this is LASCO satellite. So the sun is behind that black that black, where's it gone? It's over here. That black dot there, basically. And that's the arm that comes from the satellite that's observing it, and it hides the sun so we can see what's around the sun, as it were. And you can see here, this goes back to the 9th. As I said, this is when the eruption started happening, and we had everything started calming down on the Earth system. And as we progress it forward, we can see some eruptions that come off the sun. Now, here you can see the first halo eruption. So it seems like it's coming off in all different directions. That's because it's coming directly towards the Earth. And that's what we call the halo eruption. And you can see a little bit of fuzz or white snow that's sort of happening as it comes in our direction. And then we get another eruption from the sun, which is round about here. And that's when we can start seeing the past eruption, the first eruption really, that's really starting to create a lot of that sort of snowy sort of plasma interaction. That's the charged particles that's coming through, and this is that last eruption that's happening behind it. So as this sun sort of, as this wave of energy, these charged particles come through, it creates this first sort of snowy effect on the satellite. And then the second one comes through and it intensifies a lot more, which is in this section here. And it just makes us feel, it's one wave after another. So it's doubling down simply because there's nothing stopping it from building speed as it comes through. Here it goes, it picks up again. There it goes, it intensifies. And really does intensify to the end of it as well. So we've got a lot of energy that's coming through to the Earth at the moment. It certainly has been ringing the Earth's energy at the moment. So here we can see the effects of the radio waves on the Earth above the top section here, which is just here on this section here. You'll be able to see it just in the here. This was earlier on. This is later on as well. So it's been ringing now for the last 2 days on the energies that have been coming through to the Earth. And it's now starting to ring totally the north and south pole of the Earth. And that's going to be charging the interior of the Earth far greater than, say, like corona holes. It's going to bring in a lot of electricity to the system. And you may feel that. You may feel that within life at the moment, that things are picking up a little bit of a speed, or things are getting a little bit more intense in life. And that's because the Earth energy itself is really starting to sort of sing, as it were. As they sort of said, it's... if you want to hear the stones sing. And I think this is how the Earth actually sings along with everything, in accordance to all the other planets as well. And we saw that, the one last thing was on that 3-eye atlas that I talked about on the live this week on Sunday. And I did a video 2.5 weeks ago about the eruptions from that sunspot that has been hitting the Earth at the moment. Was firing in the direction of 3-eye atlas 2 weeks ago. And I was saying maybe, I think those eruptions will destroy 3-eye atlas. And it appears to be happening. And on Sunday I was explaining that as 3-eye atlas goes through, the sun has done eruptions in the direction. It doesn't explode 3-eye atlas into minuscule pieces in a big explosion. What it does is it charges the magnetic field of the comet, and I think it's gradually breaking it out, like a bit like sound therapy would be on sort of kidney stones and so forth. It's gradually breaking up, and as it travels forward, it's going to gradually dissipate and break up in front of our eyes as it goes out of the system, the Earth system, over the next sort of 2-3 months. So, and people are starting to get that, but when you know how the energy works on the sun, and how it works within the universe, it becomes very obvious that it's not you know, like a spaceship and so forth. And it's got nothing to do with star seeds and GFLs and stuff like that, which is, you know, it's really good for sort of like selling views on YouTube, but that's all part of Bluebeam as far as I can tell. And you know, and it's the same thing when you see a lot of channels, you know, talking about the sun. I don't really know what they're talking about, you know, but if they can dramatize it a lot, obviously they can sell a lot of their views, and YouTube seem to be pushing that, and it's all part of that distraction from the real truth, what is going on, really. It hides the truth that is behind it more than anything else. So I think Three Eye Atlas will be just dissipating as we go forward over the next sort of like 2 or 3 months. In the meantime, for this week here, keep focused on your pathway. Accept the information that is coming through your spirit and through your energies, trying to see how you can fit that, and I think you will be able to understand how to fit that in your everyday life. I think it's going to be very important. And as that sort of energy drops out, if we don't get any more flares, that energy will drop out on the roundabout the 15th, 16th of November. And that's when that corona hole will really be pushing the energies of the earth. Therefore, it's a case of taking that information and applying it physically within our world. It'd be interesting to see as well what's happening with the messages from energy, which we have on our sister channel, the Astroflower. And that's going to go into the chakra sequencing, and we can meditate on the energy line, which we're sat on here at the moment, visit the portal in the center of the earth, and just get a few messages and heads up on what is going on that front. So I'll possibly see you over there for that. Thanking you very much for being here. Really do appreciate all your support through subscribing, liking and sharing. Really helps with the YouTube algorithm and so forth. I will see you soon. In the meantime, yeah, all there's left for me to say is don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.